Okay, so what if I told you the secret to feeling happier? Maybe being more successful, boosting your focus, and possibly even, adding years to your life. What if that wasn't some hidden talent or this massive achievement,
Right.
but something, well, simpler, something you could start doing right now? What if it was just learning continuously, not just like school stuff, but learning anything, anytime, anywhere?
It sounds almost too straightforward, doesn't it? That just engaging with new knowledge, new skills could have such a huge impact on so many parts of life.
Right.
But, as we've been digging into this material, we've gathered articles, bits of research, notes. The evidence is actually, it's pretty compelling. This isn't just about being book smart. It's really about living a fuller, more resilient, vibrant life.
Exactly. So today, that's what we're doing, a deep dive into what it really means to be a lifelong learner. We're exploring the, honestly, incredible benefits it seems to bring. And we're going to unpack some really fascinating ideas like getting into a flow state and finding your reason for being, your ikigai. Is that how you say it?
Ikigai, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And our goal here really is to kind of sift through all these sources, pull out the most important insights for you, give you a shortcut maybe to being properly informed on this, because it really does feel transformative.
It really does.
Think of it like understanding the engine behind personal growth maybe. Why do some people just keep evolving, finding new energy, new purpose, at every stage?
Yeah.
Well, a big part of that answer, these sources suggest, is their commitment to learning. Just always learning.
Okay, so let's unpack that. First off, we need to be clear. What are we actually talking about when we say lifelong learning? We hear the phrase all the time, but what is it really beyond, school?
Yeah, that's critical because it's not just formal education, not
Right.
just degrees or certificates. Our sources define it much more broadly. It's using both formal and informal opportunities for continuous development, improving your knowledge, your skills. And this is important not just for your job, also for personal fulfillment.
So it keeps going long after you've, handed in that last paper.
Absolutely. It's what happens after graduation day.
Yeah.
He's going through, say, professional development to stay sharp in your field, maybe advanced programs if that's your path. Or, and this is maybe the most powerful part, just self-study, exploring things because you're curious.
Right.
It's embracing the idea that finishing school isn't the end. It's really just the start of your learning journey, a commitment ongoing to intellectual and personal growth.
That makes total sense. It feels like it's really about cultivating a certain mindset then, an attitude.
Exactly.
There was one perspective we found from Kristen Griffin that framed it really nicely. She called it the ongoing education of the self.
Yes. That phrase really stuck with me too, because it is ongoing and it tends to be self-motivated,
Yep.
right? Often self-taught because you're directing it. It's taking that curiosity you might feel in a class and making it a daily habit, a way you engage with the world, having, as she puts it, a fierce desire to gain knowledge and skills whenever, wherever, and however.
Wow. Fierce desire. I like that.
Yes, that internal drive, that fire,
Yeah.
that keeps you looking for new stuff, new experiences.
Whenever, wherever, and however. That feels really liberating, actually, because it means there's no single right way to do it.
Precisely.
You could be learning, I don't know, Spanish on your phone or coding online or taking up woodworking, sewing, or mastering, like complex tech skills or even people skills, right?
Yeah.
Communication, negotiation.
Spot on. And the places it happens, just as varied. You could be wandering through a museum, letting curiosity lead, or taking a structured online course, reading a self-help book, or just having a really good conversation with someone you admire.
Yeah.
The key thing here, and the sources really back this up, is there's no wrong way. You don't need a specific degree. You don't even need to have liked school back in the day.
Oh.
What you need is commitment, the willingness to try, and openness to new challenges, new ways of thinking, even feeling a bit uncomfortable sometimes, day after day. It's an active choice.
So it's less about what you learn or where you learn it and more about the act of learning itself, that continuous engagement.
That's exactly it. It's the dedication to keep engaging, keep stretching your mind, your abilities, that process of challenging yourself, taking in new information, new skills. That's the core of being a lifelong learner.
Right.
And the payoff for making that commitment, as these sources show again and again, is just huge. It touches pretty much every part of your life.
Okay, let's dig into those benefits then, because this is where it gets real, right? Where the idea translates into actual positive changes. Beyond just knowing more stuff, what does this mindset do for you personally?
Well, the first big one is just deep personal growth and fulfillment. I mean, when you're constantly learning, you're constantly getting better at things, increasing your competence. And with that, naturally, your confidence grows, which leads to this deeper sense of purpose, of satisfaction in your life.
Okay.
Plus, learning new things helps you adapt better, be more flexible, better equipped to handle, life's curveballs and changes.
It sounds like it's really an internal thing, a shift inside you.
Totally. It fosters a more positive attitude,
Yeah.
fundamentally. Instead of hitting a wall and thinking, oh, I can't do that, you start developing that, okay, I can figure this out. I will figure this out spirit.
Right. The I can and I will.
Yeah. And you start looking for chances to grow instead of just waiting for them, which takes self-motivation, obviously,
Yeah.
and willingness to put in the effort, even when it's tough. It builds that internal resilience, like a muscle.
I can totally see how that internal shift, that proactive attitude would spill over into your career. The sources mentioned some pretty big advantages there, too.
Oh, absolutely. The career benefits are significant and maybe more important than ever now with how fast things change. For starters, just being someone who clearly keeps learning makes you way more employable. We saw this in a piece from the Chief Learning Officer blog, is that companies are increasingly shopping for workers based on skills rather than official qualifications or job titles. Makes sense, right? The more relevant skills you have, the more valuable you are.
That really hits home on that idea that generic experience and flexibility cannot compete with serial mastery. You need that deep current skill set.
Exactly. Serial mastery. Love that phrase. And it's not just about getting the job or keeping it. Continuous learning is like rocket fuel for advancing your career, or pivoting completely, or just reinventing your future.
Right.
Just having that mindset that the future is open, that you can learn what you need for new opportunities, that itself is motivating. It gives you agency, a feeling of control.
And there was that really interesting Cornell study mentioned. It linked formal education programs to better decision-making and rationality, especially with money stuff.
Yes, that was fascinating. Better economic assessments. And the kicker was this benefit showed up years later, years after the program finished. It shows learning isn't just memorizing. It actually rewires how you think more clearly, more analytically, which pays off long-term in practical ways, like making sound financial choices.
Makes sense.
And beyond just thinking better, simply having more skills, focusing on developing your talents. It tends to pay off financially too, promotions, pay bumps.
Yeah.
There was a Lumina Foundation study that found employees who used their company's tuition reimbursement saw a huge jump in wages, like 43% increase.
43%. That is significant. That's a clear ROI for everyone involved.
Definitely.
Although it's worth noting, one source pointed out, based on a 2012 UK survey of workers over 50, that the amount of training employers actually pay for seems to go down with age.
Yeah, that's an interesting wrinkle. Suggests maybe the responsibility shifts more to the individual later on.
Right.
But that same survey showed that the motivation to learn for work reasons, like wanting to do your current job better, that stayed really high across all the over 15 age groups. So the practical day-to-day benefit remains a strong driver.
Okay, so personal fulfillment, career boosts. Let's talk about another massive area, mental and even physical health. This feels like a really core benefit.
Oh, it absolutely is. The link between learning and well-being is super strong, very well documented in these sources. I mean, one Forbes headline just put it right out there. Learning is a sure path to happiness. Science proves it.
Okay, bold claim. What's the science say?
Well, it connects to this idea of thriving. Thriving isn't just being successful. It's being successful in continuously developing your skills at the same time.
No, it's the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That dynamic process of growth itself is a huge contributor to well-being. You see it in elite athletes constantly pushing boundaries, but it applies to all of us in life, in work.
And it loops back to that feeling of empowerment, right? Self-determination.
Yes, precisely. When you feel you have some control over your learning, when it's tied to your own interests, your goals, that's incredibly empowering. It feels authentic. But even for learning that feels, mandatory, you can often find ways to make it your own. Find an angle that sparks your curiosity. Maybe it's the patterns behind the numbers in stats class, or the psychology of why certain graphics work in a design course.
Right. Find your hook.
Find your hook. That personal connection turns potentially dry stuff into something engaging, meaningful. It opens doors you didn't even know were there.
And this growing competence, this personal connection, it builds confidence, obviously, but also likability.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Surprising, maybe, but it makes sense. Knowing more, understanding different views lets you contribute more meaningfully. Ask better questions, which deepens your understanding, sure, but also helps everyone around you.
Okay.
Expanding your capabilities clearly helps you succeed, now and later. And there was a university study mentioned that found college or university study actually boosted things like agreeableness, likability.
Oh.
Think about it being open to new ideas, willing to learn, willing to grow. Those are attractive qualities. Makes you more pleasant, more engaging to be around, which is great for relationships.
I can see that. It takes a certain humility too, though, right? To admit you don't know everything. Does that connect resilience?
Oh, absolutely. Learning requires confronting what you don't know,
Yeah.
trying new things, and inevitably messing up sometimes. That whole process builds resilience. There's a really neat concept from University of Arizona research mentioned the 85% rule.
The 85% rule.
Yeah. It suggests the sweet spot for learning and staying motivated is when you're succeeding about 85% of the time and failing about 15%.
Okay.
If you succeed 100% of the time, it's too easy. You get bored, lose motivation. If you fail too much, you get overwhelmed, you give up. That 15% failure rate, that's the right amount of challenge to keep you engaged, keep you pushing, keep you learning.
Wow, the 85% rule, that's a really useful way to think about it. It kind of validates the struggle, you know?
It does. And speaking of how the brain works, curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
How does that link to memory? Curiosity is like a memory superpower. Research from UC Davis found that when you're genuinely curious, your brain basically switches into a state that's more receptive to learning. Yeah. This helps you absorb new info more easily, and it strengthens the pathways that help you remember it long term. Cement those memories. So the more curious you are, the better you'll learn and retain.
So curiosity isn't just like a personality trait. It's an actual biological advantage for learning.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And that links to broadening your perspective, which you said connects to happiness.
Exactly. Learning new things, exploring different subjects, understanding different viewpoints, it just naturally expands your horizons. And this broader perspective is strongly linked to feeling happier, more joyful.
How so?
Well, it's kind of the opposite of that myopic perspective the sources mentioned, that feeling of being limited, stuck, trapped,
Right.
which is really common in depression, unfortunately.
Right.
When you widen your view of the world, of other people, what's possible for you, you tend to feel more hopeful, happier.
It sounds like it fundamentally changes how you see things.
It really can. An Oxford University study with the Workers' Educational Association found adults taking classes just for fun, outside work, reported big improvements in mental and physical health, and just greater life satisfaction overall.
Wow.
And another study from San Francisco State also linked formal education generally to greater happiness and life satisfaction.
And what about for older adults? Is there a specific link to cognitive health as we age?
Absolutely, a vital connection there. A BIS study from 2012 highlighted that continuous learning benefits mental resilience throughout life, yes, but it plays a crucial role in potentially delaying age-related cognitive decline.
Okay, that's huge.
It keeps the brain active, engaged, builds what they call cognitive reserve. And specifically for older adults, learning boosts confidence, reinforces that sense of purpose. Studies show learners just feel better about themselves, have more hope, more direction.
And technology must be making this more accessible now for older people.
Definitely. The Oxford Internet surveys back in 2013 already showed increasing internet use among people over 65. While confidence levels varied across different skills compared to younger groups, the trend was clear.
Right.
And as digital literacy keeps growing in older populations, access to online learning just explodes the possibilities for engagement and for reaping those health and well-being benefits.
Okay, so learning is great for you as an individual, growth, career, health. What about connecting with other people? Does it help socially?
Oh, it's a fantastic way to connect. Learning environments, whether it's a real classroom, a virtual workshop, an online forum about your hobby, they're natural places to build your network. Meet people with shared interests.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Working on projects together, discussing ideas, sharing what you've learned. Those experiences can forge real bonds. And that network isn't just social, it's a resource for finding new learning opportunities, maybe even career leads. It's a positive cycle.
Like building a community around curiosity.
Exactly. And the ripple effects go even further, even into your family. A University of Sussex study linked parents' education levels to better achievement for their kids.
Really?
Yeah. And another study from University of Illinois showed more education tends to correlate with longer lives and better economic outcomes overall. So your personal commitment to learning can actually benefit your family for generations.
Wow, that adds a whole other layer. It's not just personal development. It's almost like building a legacy. Now, going back to health and longevity, curiosity specifically. One source really focused on this, right? The curious path to longevity.
Yes, this is maybe one of the most surprising connections. Curiosity isn't just, cute. It's presented as a key factor in healthy aging, living longer.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Studies in the Journal of Aging showed older adults who scored higher on curiosity tests had a significantly lower risk of dying over 5 years compared to less curious folks.
Lower risk of dying just from being curious. That's incredible.
It really is. And another study in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease found older adults who did curiosity-stimulating activities had better cognitive function. So it seems to protect the brain, too.
And curiosity probably helps with social connection, too, which we know is vital for longevity.
Exactly. Curiosity pushes you to explore, which often means engaging with others, joining a club, volunteering for something you learned about. These activities provide support, a sense of purpose, both key for healthy aging, longer life.
Right.
Plus, the sources mentioned other potential benefits, like reducing chronic disease risk, better cognitive function generally, more resilience to stress.
The source used that great example, Doris.
Yes. Fictional, but based on a real grandma, apparently, whose life just embodied this. Doris is this deeply curious woman living a full, vibrant life into her 90s.
What did she do?
Always seeking knowledge, asking questions, exploring, reading constantly in a book club, volunteering at a food bank. Huge sense of purpose there.
Yeah.
Loved cooking, trying new things, used a birdsong app to teach her great-grandkids, and was even thinking about a university course in her 90s. Just asking, why not?
Why not? That says it all, doesn't it? Her story just makes it so tangible, how that active curiosity fuels engagement, purpose, well-being, maybe even longevity. It's not abstract anymore.
It really grounds it. So, okay, given all these amazing benefits, the obvious question is, how do we actually do this?
Yeah.
How do we develop this lifelong learning mindset?
Right.
Well, our sources gave us a great list.
Yeah.
10 practical ways, shared by Kristen Griffin, for fostering this.
Okay, let's go through them. Number 1, recognize you already have the traits.
Yeah, this is a great starting point. It's not some rare talent you have or don't have.
Right.
It's not a line on a resume. It's about attitude. That I can and I will belief, acknowledging that the capacity to learn is in you. What you need is the active desire, the motivation to put in the effort. It's already there. You just need to activate it.
Okay, so start with belief in yourself. Number 2, take a careful inventory of yourself.
Self-awareness is key for targeted growth.
Right.
Right. Honestly, look at your skills. Where can you improve? Knowledge gaps. What are you naturally good at? Strengths, weaknesses, fears, public speaking, tech stuff.
Yeah.
Identifying these areas lets you set specific learning goals. You need to know where you are to figure out where to go.
Self-reflection as your map. Got it. Number 3, embrace a growth mindset.
This is huge. Maybe underlies everything else. It's the belief that your intelligence, your skills, they aren't fixed. They can be developed through effort, dedication, learning from feedback, even failure.
Right.
Someone with a growth mindset cares more about the process of learning, the hard work, than just looking smart. The core belief is optimistic. If I want something, there's a way to get there, step by step. Think about something you already love learning about, maybe history or fantasy novels, whatever. Seize that excitement, figure out why you love it, and try to apply that same energy elsewhere. Career skills, hobbies.
Use existing passion to fuel new learning. Smart. Number 4, be curious.
Curiosity, the fuel, right? Cultivate an open mind.
Yeah.
Be receptive to new experiences, even challenging ones. See what they teach you. It's almost like a positive FOMO fear of missing out on learning. When you don't get something, or even if you think you do, ask questions. Ask yourself, ask others, look it up. Curiosity questions, answers knowledge, simple, powerful chain.
Curiosity as the engine. Number 5, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
This is a big one. Growth pretty much always happens outside your comfort zone. New challenges, new ideas, they feel uncomfortable. Your ego resists, right? Doesn't want to look foolish.
Yeah, definitely.
But that discomfort is not a stop sign. It's a sign you're growing. It's that 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. The source used a great analogy, being the first person to hack a trail through dense woods. It's hard work, but it makes the path easier for later, including for yourself next time. The more you lean into that discomfort, the easier it gets, the more resilient you become.
Embrace the awkwardness as proof of progress.
Okay. Number 6, read.
Foundational. For adult learning, For raising lifelong learners, reading is arguably the best way to get new perspectives, see different ways of thinking, learn from others' experiences, successes, and failures, expand your sense of what's possible. It's like a tree, they said. Start with one book, one idea, and it branches out, leads you places you didn't expect. Read widely. Novels, blogs, articles, history, whatever interests you. And don't make it a chore. Find stuff you actually like. Work it into your routine. 10 pages before bed. A chapter at lunch. It adds up fast.
Reading is the bedrock. Got it. Number 7, know that physical health is mental health.
Holistic approach. Your physical state totally impacts your brain's ability to learn. When you feel your best physically rested, nourished, active, you're most receptive.
Makes sense. There's that saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Taking care of yourself, eating well, sleeping enough, exercising isn't separate from learning. It improves your ability to learn, focus, cognitive function, everything.
Completely linked. Okay, number 8. Understand how your environment online and off matters.
Right. You can't bring new furniture into a cluttered room. Same idea mentally. You need space for new learning. Decluttering your physical workspace can actually prime your mind for focus.
Oh, interesting.
The source suggested that cleaning your workspace creates this connection. Cleaning means I'm getting ready to learn. And it applies online too. Clean desk, clean desktop, fewer distractions, physical or digital, means better focus.
Environment shaping focus. Number 9, look at lifelong learning as a way of life, not a one-off thing.
Maybe the most crucial habit. It's not just taking a course now and then. It's weaving learning into your daily life. Start small, gradual shifts. Be conscious of your time. Maybe read an article instead of scrolling social media with your coffee. Listen to an educational podcast on your commute instead of just music. Watch a documentary instead of reruns. Choose coffee with someone you admire and can learn from, instead of drinks with someone who maybe enables less productive habits.
Tiny changes add up to big habits. It's about those conscious choices all day long.
Micro changes become macro habits. I like that. And finally, number 10, in these unprecedented times, embrace more time with yourself.
Yeah, this likely came out of experiences like pandemic isolation, which was tough, obviously. But having more quiet time can actually be a catalyst for self-reflection.
How so?
In those quiet moments, you can ask, what do I really want to learn? What skills have I always wanted? What brings me joy? You can still ask and act on these, even alone. The quiet lets you hear your own curiosity.
Right.
And think how good it feels to come out of a period, maybe a challenging one, with a new skill or deeper knowledge. It turns solitude into an opportunity for growth. That's a really powerful set of habits, a great framework for building that mindset.
Okay, so once you have that mindset, how do you get into that state of deep engagement, the really rewarding part? This brings us to flow.
Flow, yes. Popularized by the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, originally from Hungary, dedicated his life to studying happiness, optimal experiences. Especially during his time at the University of Chicago, his famous book, Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience.
So what is flow, in simple terms?
It's that optimal state you hit when you're completely, utterly immersed in something. Total absorption, deep involvement in the present moment.
Like being in the zone.
Exactly. That's the everyday term for it. When you're in flow, you've got intense focus, concentration. You often lose track of time completely. Hours feel like minutes. You might even lose self-awareness. Worries, ego, they just fade away. You're just totally engaged in the task. It often feels effortless, even if it's challenging. Deep enjoyment, deep fulfillment.
And it happens under specific conditions, right? It's not random. That's key. Csikszentmihalyi found flow. Happens most often when the challenge at the task is perfectly balanced with your skill level.
Okay.
Too easy. Boredom. Too hard. Anxiety, frustration. But when the challenge pushes you just slightly beyond your current skills achievable, but requires focus, that's the sweet spot.
Right.
Other signs. Clear goals for what you're doing. Immediate feedback on how you're doing. That sense of control. And doing it because you want intrinsic motivation. The activity itself is the reward. That mix leads to mastery, fulfillment.
Sounds amazing. What's happening in our brains during this?
The neuroscience is pretty cool. One big idea is transient hypofrontality.
Transient hypo.
Hypofrontality. Basically, a temporary quieting down of your prefrontal cortex. The part involved in planning, decision-making, self-criticism, your inner monologue.
So the worrying, overanalyzing part takes a break.
Exactly, which lets you get hyper-focused. Perform optimally without that internal chatter or self-doubt dragging you down. At the same time, you often get a big release of dopamine.
A reward chemical.
Right. Pleasure, motivation, learning. It reinforces the behavior that got you into flow, makes you want to do it again.
Does it boost creativity too?
It seems to, yeah. With the prefrontal cortex less dominant, there seems to be more communication between different brain regions, more crosstalk,
Okay.
which can lead to novel ideas, insights, creative breakthroughs. Your thinking becomes super efficient. You're integrating info, responding in real time, almost without effort.
So getting into flow isn't just feeling good, it's actually unlocking potential. Creativity, peak performance.
That's the idea, accessing a state where your mind and body are just perfectly in sync, performing at your best while feeling great doing it.
And flow isn't just for like artists or athletes, right? It applies broadly.
The impact can be huge across the board. Sports, education, work, relationships, hobbies, that weird time thing, losing self-consciousness, actions feeling automatic, that can happen to anyone.
Right.
It boosts physical skills in sports, cognitive development in students, productivity at work, and just contributes massively to life satisfaction and happiness for anyone. It's a path to reaching your potential, whatever that is.
How does it work specifically in education?
It's super relevant there. Provides a great model for student engagement, better learning outcomes. When students hit flow, they're immersed, focused.
Yeah.
They understand better, remember more. It boosts skill development because, like we said, it happens when challenge meets skill with feedback. So creating environments where flow can happen, that maximizes students' abilities, makes learning way more enjoyable, more effective. And it's not just academic. It boosts motivation, well-being. Intrinsically motivated students are happier, have a better attitude towards learning. It even helps with classroom management. Engaged kids aren't disruptive kids.
Makes sense.
So designing tasks with clear goals, the right challenge level, timely feedback, those are practical ways teachers can help students find flow.
The source listed 9 specific ways to promote flow in class. Let's touch on a few.
Yeah, actionable stuff based on the principles. First, tailoring challenges to skills that balance is crucial. Stimulating, but not overwhelming. Second, clear goals and knowing the target sharpens focus, maintains motivation.
Third, encouraging deep engagement tasks needing real concentration, not just surface stuff.
Fourth, minimizing interruptions, creating a space, physical and maybe digital, where focus is possible. Fifth, promoting autonomy, giving students some choice boosts motivation, makes flow more likely.
Sixth, a strong feedback loop, immediate constructive feedback, helps students adjust and stay in that sweet spot between challenge and skill.
Seventh, a safe learning environment where it's okay to take risks, make mistakes. That safety is vital for experimenting, developing skills, finding flow. Eighth, mindfulness practices, techniques to improve focus, manage distractions. And ninth, acknowledging individual differences, tailoring things where possible because everyone finds flow differently.
Those sound like great principles for any learning, not just school. Flow also seems powerful in things like music performance.
Oh, perfect example. Skills and actions just merging. Musicians, especially instrumentalists deep in it, often describe flow. Drummers, bassists were mentioned feeling totally focused, immersed, actions and intentions becoming one with the sound.
Yeah.
It makes the performance better. Movements feel effortless, automatic, leads to tighter playing, more energy. That connection between, say, a drummer and bassist locking in, that's flow creating the foundation.
And in sports, it's that classic in the zone.
Exactly. Pretty much the same thing. Athletes in the zone have that intense focus, peak functioning, effortless execution, amazing results, deep immersion, time distortion, all of it.
Right.
It really aligns with Timothy Galway's inner game idea, quieting the conscious mind, silencing the self-criticism, letting your trained abilities just take over.
Which leads to that fluid, instinctive movement we see at the highest levels.
Yes, getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
Letting muscle memory and instinct guide you without overanalyzing. Galway's work is gold for athletes trying to access that state.
And maybe surprisingly, flow connects to religion and spirituality too.
It does. Especially in contemplative practices like in yoga traditions, Rajat Yoga, for instance, religion often provides a framework to connect with something bigger, explore meaning through beliefs, rituals. Things like prayer, meditation, chanting, studying texts, rituals. They can all help connect to a higher power, a sense of interconnectedness, cultivate self-awareness.
Key beliefs like interconnectedness, self-awareness seem important.
They lay the groundwork.
Yeah.
Yoga, specifically, is often seen as a path to spiritual growth.
Right.
Compassion, mindfulness, inner peace. And these practices create conditions right for flow. That complete absorption in a pose, losing track of time, being fully present.
Right.
In that context, flow can help you get beyond the ego, connect with something larger, move towards spiritual fulfillment.
What about at work? Can you get into flow on the job?
Absolutely. Flow at work is that state of peak functioning, fully immersed, enjoying the task, feeling satisfied. Csikszentmihalyi's 3 conditions are key here too. Clear goals for your work, immediate feedback on how you're doing, and that balance between the task's demands and your ability to meet them.
Clear goals, feedback, balance, challenge, the same core ideas.
Exactly. And experiencing flow regularly at work isn't just about feeling good then and there. It leads to what Csikszentmihalyi called growth towards complexity. Meaning you're actively developing higher skills, emotional, cognitive, social poke, through that intense focus. You get better at your tasks, more aware of your strengths, better at managing emotions, relationships with colleagues. It drives development while you work.
And underlying all of this, flow has big mental health benefits.
Huge. That feeling of being in the zone, the euphoria, absorption, it's directly linked to happiness, well-being. Intense engagement in rewarding activities bring satisfaction, fulfillment, boosts mood, productivity.
But it's more than just a temporary high.
Much more. Experiencing flow regularly builds self-confidence. You become more aware of your abilities, your potential, which boosts self-esteem, belief you can handle challenges. Plus, finding that sweet spot, that deep focus, it cultivates inner peace, calmness, tranquility. When you're fully engaged in something aligned with your strengths, it's a natural antidote to stress and anxiety. So yeah, enhances happiness, boosts productivity, builds confidence, cultivates inner peace. Pretty good deal.
Flow sounds amazing, something we'd all want more of. But is it easy to just switch on?
Well, that's the thing. It's highly desirable, yes, but it can be elusive. The conditions need to be right, and there are definitely common roadblocks. Luckily, our source listed 7 common challenges and potential solutions.
Okay, let's run through them. Challenge 1, distractions.
The bane of modern existence. Phone alerts, emails, noise, people interrupting, they shatter focus. The solution, simple but takes discipline. Create a quiet, dedicated space. Silence devices. Block out uninterrupted time.
2, lack of clear goals.
If you don't know what you're aiming for, how can you focus? Or know if you're making progress? Solution, set specific, achievable goals before you start. Gives direction, purpose, keeps you engaged.
3, lack of skill level.
Right, that balance again. Task too far beyond your skills. Frustration, not flow. Solution, be realistic. Practice the needed skills first. Build confidence. Break down big tasks into smaller steps that match your current level.
4, anxiety and self-doubt.
That inner critic again. Negative thoughts, fear of failure. They kill flow. They eat up mental energy, pull you out of the moment. Solution, mindfulness helps observing thoughts without judgment. Positive self-talk, building confidence in your ability to handle it. 5, lack of challenge.
The flip side, task too easy, too boring, mind wanders, no flow. Solution, actively make it harder, increase complexity, add constraints, set higher standards, find ways to stimulate yourself.
6, multitasking, the absolute enemy of flow. Constantly switching focus, deep work is impossible. Solution, prioritize, focus on one thing at a time, allocate dedicated, uninterrupted time blocks. Single tasking is key.
And finally, 7, lack of time.
Feeling rushed, deadline pressure. Prevents that relaxed focus needed for flow. Solution, be intentional. Schedule dedicated time for flow activities. Protect that time fiercely. Put other commitments aside. Even short focus bursts work if they're truly uninterrupted. So yeah, challenges exist. But recognizing them, using these strategies with determination, it really increases your chances of tapping into that amazing state. It's a skill you can develop.
It sounds like flow elevates the experience of learning and doing, which connects perfectly to purpose-inspired learning, and that brings us to Ikigai.
It's a very strong link, yeah. Learn Life, one source advocating for purpose-driven learning, roots its philosophy in Ikigai. It's Japanese, no perfect English translation, but roughly a reason for being.
A reason for being.
Yeah, the source of value in your life. What makes it feel worthwhile brings joy day to day. It comes from Okinawa, Japan place known for long lifespans. Suggests a link between purpose, well-being, longevity.
So connecting your learning, your actions, to something deeply meaningful, that gives life value.
Exactly. Learn Life argues that purpose-inspired learning builds a strong foundation for a life with Ikigai. And discovering that purpose naturally encourages lifelong learning. Their model aims to help learners find their Ikigai, tailoring learning to that emerging purpose. Passion might start the journey, but purpose directs it meaningfully.
And Ikigai isn't just something you stumble upon. It's a process.
Very much an active process. ongoing self-reflection, exploration. It encourages you constantly consider the intersection of 4 key things. 1, your talents, what you're good at. 2, what you genuinely love doing. 3, what the world actually needs. And 4, what you could get recognition or even paid for.
Finding the overlap between those 4, what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. That sounds incredibly motivating.
It's like a compass. Identifying your ikigai inspires learning pathways that feel deeply relevant, self-chosen, guides your lifelong journey. In a confusing world, having that purpose helps you navigate choices, what to learn, what skills to build, which direction to go. It sets you on a path to deep engagement, well-being, fulfillment.
The sources summed up the connection between purpose and learning pretty clearly.
Yeah, basically reinforcing that strong purpose and active lifelong learning are crucial for self-fulfillment. Ikigai provides that framework, supports purpose-driven learning. It's a dynamic process, always reflecting on those 4 areas. And importantly, examples of purpose-driven achievement are everywhere. It's not just theory.
Can you give us those historical examples again?
Sure. Marie Curie. Her deep purpose, passion for science, fueled her relentless work, led to discovering polonium, radium, despite huge obstacles. Another one, William Wilberforce. His unwavering purpose to end the slave trade drove his whole life, leading to the Abolition Act in the British Empire. He saw it pass just before he died.
Wow. Powerful examples of purpose driving incredible impact. There's also that modern quote from David Viscott.
Yes, beautiful quote. The purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it. The meaning of life is to give your gift away. Perfectly ties self-discovery and learning, finding and developing your gift, to making a difference, giving it away. Positions lifelong learning not just as self-help, but as cultivating your unique contribution.
And the Rockwood Leadership Institute uses Ikigai-style questions, too.
Yeah, as a framework for purposeful change. The questions really help you reflect, guide your learning. Things like, what truly excites you? What difference do you want to make? What brings you deep joy? What makes you lose track of time? What problem do you feel compelled to solve? Asking these can light up where your learning can be most fulfilling and impactful.
So it's not just finding purpose, it's acting on it. Dan Buettner, the Blue Zones guy, emphasizes that too, right?
Absolutely. Finding ikigai is step 1. Putting it into practice through your work, learning, daily life, that's where the real fulfillment comes from. And research like David Yeager's shows even just helping students see the purpose behind a task boosts their motivation, self-regulation, performance. Purpose enhances performance.
And this purpose idea isn't just individual, it shapes organizations too.
Fundamentally linked. A strong organizational purpose often grows from the individual purposes within it. Building that culture takes deliberate effort. Understanding purpose, aligning efforts, sharing stories, training leaders, workshops, measuring impact. It's a whole system commitment to meaning.
This has been such a rich exploration. Lifelong learning, flow, ikigai. So many connected ideas about growth, health, purpose. But for a complete picture, we should acknowledge that even flow theory has its critics, its limitations.
That's a really important point for a balanced view. Yeah, like any theory, it's not perfect or universally applied without critique. One big one is about applicability across different people, different cultures.
How so?
Critics argue flow might not be experienced the same way everywhere. It could differ based on personality, culture, even socioeconomic background. The theory was mostly developed in Western contexts, right? So it might overlook variations in how people experience optimal engagement elsewhere.
So what feels like flow for one person might look or feel different for another.
Exactly. The core might be similar, but the expression, the activities, the interpretation could vary. Another critique relates to complex creative activities.
Okay.
The theory says flow happens when challenge matches skill. But critics argue, in really complex creative work, writing, composing, research flow sometimes happens when challenges actually exceed your current skill.
When you're really pushed.
Right. That pressure, forcing you to learn and adapt fast, can itself trigger intense focus and growth. So the strict skill challenge balance might miss that dynamic in some cases.
That's fascinating. Being pushed beyond your limit could actually induce flow sometimes.
It suggests the relationship might be more fluid. There are also questions about practical application. Flow theory gives great insights, but some find it a bit abstract.
Hard to translate into how-to steps.
Yeah, sometimes. Knowing what it is and why it feels good is one thing. Reliably getting there, the practical guidance can feel less developed or harder to apply consistently.
And the last criticism, about being too individualistic.
Yes. The focus is heavily on the individual's experience, achievement, enjoyment. Critics suggest this might undervalue social connection, collaboration, contributing to collective well-being as part of optimal experience.
Okay.
They argue for a more holistic view, integrating interpersonal societal factors alongside the individual psychology. A broader picture of what makes life truly meaningful and engaging.
Acknowledging those points is really helpful. It doesn't dismiss flow, but gives us a more nuanced view, sees it as a powerful framework, especially for individual peak experience, but maybe not the whole story for everyone, everywhere.
Exactly. It gives us a more complete picture. Reminds us human experience is complex.
Wow. Okay, we have covered so much ground today. We started by reframing continuous learning, not just school, but a lifelong mindset. Self-motivated.
And we dove into the incredible benefits transforming personal confidence, fulfillment, boosting careers, enhancing mental and physical health, deepening engagement through flow, and finding purpose through ikigai.
We looked at those 10 practical habits for cultivating the mindset, like embracing discomfort, reading widely, and address the challenges of getting into flow and how to tackle them.
We saw learning comes in countless forms, and aligning it with your ikigai, that intersection of what you're good at, love, what the world needs, and what you could be recognized for, provides that powerful motivation and direction.
And we made sure to get that balanced view, touching on the limitations of flow theory, too.
Ultimately, the sources really emphasize that knowledge is most valuable when it's understood, when it's applied. And finding your purpose, your ikigai, involves understanding what the world needs and figuring out how to contribute your unique gifts.
So as you think about all this, here's one last thought for you to chew on, connecting learning, purpose, and action. If your personal learning journey, fueled by curiosity, maybe energized by flow, is about discovering and developing your unique gifts, how can that journey itself become the way you actively identify and contribute to the needs of the world around you?